rankings video today, and it is ranking every single palette I tried in 2023 from worst to best so far, because we have officially hit the 6-month mark and I pulled every single palette that I tried. And if you aren't subscribed to my channel, every month to 2 months I collect all of the palettes that I tried and then I'll rank them. And so this one is taking all of the palettes that I've tried and like ranking them. And even though I just filmed for May and June the rankings, today when I was working on my rankings, some things have switched up. So watch and listen to see. So in total, I've tried 41 palettes so far this year, which is a lot lower than the previous years. A lot less eyeshadow palettes are coming out, which I think is, I'm sad because I love eyeshadow palettes, but I also think there's a positive to that, in that a lot of these eyeshadow palettes I have a lot more experience with than I did last year with those eyeshadow palettes. So I've tested these a handful of times each at least. So let's start off with the worst palette that I've tried this year, which is not even like that bad, but I will say overall it's definitely ended up becoming my most disappointing palette, a palette that I've been actively avoiding. And I know it's Natasha Denona, but a huge factor behind this being 41 is the price point here. So this is the Love Face palette, and the eyeshadows in here are fine. In fact, I think the eyeshadows in here are beautiful, but overall as a palette for what you're paying, this is an expensive palette, and you can get her 5-pan eyeshadow palettes for what, $25? This palette is not $25. It's a lot more, but I hate the color of this blush. The highlight's okay, but I think the palette, it's just not the best use of space. I wish we would have gotten more eyeshadows, and these are all matte. Natasha has great matte eyeshadows, but I would have loved some more shimmery options because she has even more fantastic shimmery options. For the price point and for what you can get from Natasha Denona, I found this palette hugely disappointing, and I don't even find myself reaching for this palette ever. So emotions got in the way of this and put it in number 41. Now in number 40, honestly it's not bad, but just lining it up, I'm the least excited about it. This is from Milani. This is the Gilded Mini Whiskey Business. And if you've watched my channel for a while, you know I've just never been the biggest fan of drugstore eyeshadows to begin with. I wanted to try some. I do like to give some good options because if you're in a pinch, you need to pick something up. Honestly, this is fine to pick up. It's an all matte palette. It has a great selection of colors. These blend easily, but they do over blend, and that's kind of where this falls to the bottom. I'm such a Viseart girl. I love my Viseart mattes. I'm reaching for that over this. I believe you get what you pay for when it comes to eyeshadows to a certain degree. I don't know, it's good, but I have a lot of other palettes to talk about, okay? There really was not a lot of bad eyeshadow palettes that I tried. Hardly any, honestly. All of the eyeshadow palettes, I like something about them, so this is just where it's fell. Number 39. I wanted this to rank higher because I love the color story, but I just cannot get behind the quality of the Ace Beauty Palettopoly palette, and so the color story is phenomenal. Ace Beauty normally does a phenomenal job with these colors, and I actually reached for this a good amount. However, these mattes are one of the more difficult mattes that I've ever used. They just stay in one place. I cannot blend them out, which is a shame because this palette has stunning matte options and even more gorgeous shimmer options, and the shimmers are good. But the mattes, I cannot lie, the quality is bad. You have to be pretty experienced with colored shadows and matte shadows in order to make this palette work. Can I make it work? Yes, that's why I want to put it higher. But the quality, you know? I can't compromise that. 38, the rest of these palettes, moving on up, are workable, they're good. We have the Urban Decay Naked Smiley in Chill Happy. There is another one that you're going to see later on in the video. Honestly, I like this, but it's an uninspiring color story to me, and the quality, while it is good, it's not great, it's not amazing. There's a lot of other palettes in this video that I'm going to reach for over this, but this did get some use for me. While I had it out, I was using it a lot, but ever since I put it away, I'll be honest, I kind of forgot about it. But it is great for travel, and the packaging is really cute. Number 37 is from Lawless. This is the lavender one. Oh my gosh, this, I'm not gonna lie, you can get such a pretty look with this, but the quality is not good. So what is pushing this up from last place pretty much is how much I love the look. However, the quality, I'd argue this is probably the worst quality palette in this video. The shimmers are like dust on my eyes. They look really chunky. The mattes are a little bit more on the sheer side. When you apply it, it looks really good, but the quality is just not great. 36 is from Glossier. This is one that I've reviewed recently. This is the Heather Monochrome Squad. I like it. The quality isn't anything to write home about. The color story for me isn't something that I consider super flattering to my eyes, so I'm not going to reach for it as much. I don't really care for this formula from Glossier, but I like this formula. And then the matte formula is just a little weak in my opinion. Overall, it's a good palette if you don't want to think about a look and you know you like these colors. You've got it laid out for you. But for me, it doesn't excite me, but I don't have too much else bad to say about it. 35 is from ColourPop. This, surprisingly, is the only ColourPop palette that I've tried this year. This is the Flirty Talk eyeshadow palette. Very, very pink. I can only wear this when I want a super pink look, and it's quite vibrant. I actually really like the quality of this. It's just, I kind of forgot about it after I put it back into my collection, which I think says a lot because, I mean, I have a pretty good catalog in my head of all of my makeup, and this one to me was just forgettable. I think the quality is nice, you can get pretty looks, but it is a bit too pink for me. 34 is a newer one that I've tried recently. This is from Too Faced. This is the Cosmic Crush palette. This is one of the better palettes that Too Faced has launched. I feel like ever so slightly they have improved their formula. There was only one dud, and the rest of these, they are solid. I do think Too Faced is still a bit too expensive for the quality that they're giving, but it is nice. I do like the layout here. I like the color options. You can get golden looks, mauvey looks, purple looks, smoky looks. I think variety-wise, this is what stands out about the palette. So I like it, but it's not my favorite. 33 is from Glossier. This is the Monochrome's Almond. This one I definitely think is prettier than Heather on me, but it does pull peachy, so that's kind of my with this, is I just feel like it looks like a really pretty nude eyeshadow palette, but on my eyes, against my skin tone, it's a little too peachy. And then again, same way about the formulas. I love the super shimmery, I am about the shimmer, and the matte could use a little bit more pigmentation in my opinion. 32, this one is actually really good. It's just, I don't reach for it very often. This is the Nomad Cosmetics Royal Europe palette. I feel like Nomad has really stepped up their quality game this year, but these are very rich jewel tones, which I'm just not reaching for very often. And this palette also has some monochrome shades as well. Honestly, it's just too much color for me. I think if you have a deeper complexion, you will really, really enjoy this palette and have a lot of fun. But I find myself avoiding this palette because it's just a lot for me and for my looks and for my preferences. And then finally, 31. This honestly was really impressive, especially for the price point. I normally am about e.l.f. eyeshadows, but their collab with American Eagle shocked me. Surprisingly good quality, really nice neutral tones up here. I don't really reach for the blues as much, but I love this black. The shimmers right here, the silver is pretty nice, and I love this top row right here. And honestly, the blues are pretty good. Again, especially for the price point. I mean, I picked this quality over the Glossier type situation, so I really think this is an underrated collab. This has beautiful quality without breaking the bank, and the packaging is just adorable. Okay, into the 30s, so I pulled the last Glossier monochrome trios. Like I said, not bad, but not great. So this one is Teak. So this is my favorite of the color stories that I've tried. I just think it's quite flattering to the eye, really easy to put on, but same quality perspective as the recent ones. This is where it fell. Number 29 is from Odin's Eye. This is the Planet Spirit palette, and you'll learn from this video how much I love Odin's Eye palettes. So this one, I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about the quality, and I do think the color story is very pretty, very cohesive. It's just not one that I'm reaching for, that I'm inclined to reach for, but it is absolutely gorgeous, fantastic quality, and if you're into these tones, I definitely do recommend this one. Number 28 is from Pat McGrath. Fun fact, Pat McGrath was the brand that I tried the most palettes from this year, 6 to be exact, and then Odin's Eye was 5. But this is from the Love collection. Oh my gosh, I feel like this came out forever ago. Time has flown, but this is the Velvet Liaison palette, and it's just an all matte palette, so you get the really nice quality Pat McGrath mattes, but I do think the packaging's a bit clunky, and it's not exciting because it doesn't have any pretty shimmer colors. This hasn't really come in handy, if I'm being honest. I mean, a lot of people said that they would pair these with Pat McGrath shimmers, but I just haven't thought to do that, to be honest. I can't beat the quality on this, and when I got this when it was newer, I was reaching for it more, which is why it's ahead of some of the others, but I've forgotten about it. There's much more exciting palettes, you know? Number 27, this one was a shocker for me. I ended up loving it way more than I thought I would. Honestly, I thought this was going to be towards the bottom before I tried it. This is from the brand Joa, and it's the Girls Night Out eyeshadow palette, and I had quite the time with this. I was reaching for it all the time, and you'd be surprised. I feel like I look at this and this palette looks chalky and hard and not pigmented, but the dimension really shows on the eyelid. So to the touch, these aren't the creamiest formula, but these shimmers are super reflective and dimensional on the eyelids, and the mattes are easy to use as well. So this one was a shocker for me, and I used it quite a lot. Number 26 is from Too Faced. This is the Italian Spritz palette, which is in my current palettes to use this summer. And I do think that this is nice. Oddly enough, I think the shimmers here are too creamy for me. Like, they get almost chunky. So I don't really like that. I think a lot of people do like that about it, but it's not my favorite shimmer formula, and the mattes are solid. It's a super solid palette. I like it. Fun colors for summer. Number 25 is another Odin's Eye one. This is the Sea Talk palette. You know, I can't say anything bad about Odin's Eye. The color story is really fun because I feel like you do have these neutral tones, but you also have pops of color, true to Lauren's style, who was the collaborator of this. Yeah, I mean, I haven't reached for this a lot, which is why I don't know, I mean, it's still really good. All of these palettes are so good. I just haven't reached for this one as much, but it's a nice palette. Number 24, this one shocked me as well. This is the Florist like Gorgeous palette, I think it is. Oh my gosh, and it's gorgeous. And this has a lot of beautiful neutral tones that I love. It's a really great palette to get looks that you don't have to think too hard about. It's gonna go with whatever outfit I'm wearing, with whatever blush I'm wearing, with whatever lip color I'm wearing. And the quality, she is very, very solid, very nice. I really like the shimmers. I will only reach for this palette for super simple looks, but I enjoy it. 23 is another one from Pat McGrath. I like this palette. It's great quality. It's just forgettable for me. So this is the Divine Bronze Luxe Quad in Venusian Sunrise. Gorgeous, gorgeous look that you can get from this. You don't have to think about it too hard. Obviously, we have a special shade here, but also it kind of gets lost in my sea of Pat McGrath palettes. It's not been one that I've reached for too much since I initially reviewed it, and it doesn't stand out to me as a palette overall, but it's very nice quality. I love the looks the look that I get from this. You can't get a lot of variety when it comes to looks with this as well, but the quality, man. Juicy, delicious, gorgeous, stunning on the eyelid. Love the quality of this. 22, this one was a fun one. So this is from Nomad Cosmetics. This is the Verona palette. I actually tried 3 this year from them. Now, this side of the palette, I haven't used a lot, if I'm being honest. I have worn a lot of pinks this year, but not from this palette. However, this side of the palette has gotten so much love from me. I have enjoyed this. I love the quality. I love the looks that you can get from this. So this one is ranking a little higher just because I've used this side of the palette a lot and I've enjoyed the quality. Very, very pigmented. But I do love the packaging of this as well. I love the 2 different kind of looks, and with the Barbie kind of looks coming out with the movie and the crazy marketing budget that they have, it's even inspired me to want to use this to create some Barbie pink looks. And then number 21 is another Pat McGrath palette. You know what? She hasn't come out with bangers this year. You know, she's come out with her good solid formula, but not a lot of bangers. So we have this Mothership eyeshadow palette in Iconic Infatuation. I thought that this one would be my favorite from this collection, but you'll see soon what my favorite is. But I don't have anything bad to say about this. Really gorgeous mauve tones, really gorgeous shimmers, but not a banger. Not a banger from Pat McGrath. Still like it though. Number 20 is actually the palette that I'm wearing now. It's just a good foolproof neutral eyeshadow palette, which I love. So this one is from Sydney Grace. If you've tried Sydney Grace eyeshadows, they are so buttery, just easy to use. So this is the Unbreakable Bond palette. And by look, right, I was never excited about this palette. It's a bunch of neutrals. And honestly, not really neutrals that caught out to me, but it's such a good neutral palette. The mattes are buttery smooth. The shimmers are gorgeous on the eyelid, very creamy, very easy to apply. So this is a palette that I've just ended up reaching more for than I originally anticipated, because I was like, you know, there's some peachy tones, some neutral tones, couple blue pops, like, what does this have to offer that's special to me? Turns out it's the quality. It's just amazing quality, and I knew that from Sydney Grace, but yes, we love her. She's on the eyelids, just a really great neutral look, you know, and it was so easy to do. Number 19 is from Urban Decay. This is the Mucho Happy. I've ended up loving this so much more than I thought. I think that this is a great vacation palette if I can open it. I feel like the shimmers are really nice quality. It's allowed me to play with color a little bit with the yellow and the blue. It's been great for summer. I don't know, I've enjoyed this palette, and I showed you earlier the more purple one. I have just reached for this one a lot more. The quality is very good, very easy to use. Nothing exceptional, but just a great little guy, a great little curation of colors that I've enjoyed greatly. Number 18 is from Pat McGrath Labs. This is the new one that just came out, Passion Fleur. Very, very pretty, but again, she hasn't come out with anything exceptional. This palette is gorgeous, the quality is gorgeous, it's a nice little quad, but lately I found when I'm reaching for quads, I prefer them to be a little bit more lighter weight. It's clunky packaging, it is, but it's a gorgeous palette, but doesn't stand out, but it's still really great. Number 17 is another one from Pat McGrath. This is the Mothership in Sublime section. Oof, I had a good time with this, and nothing is super special about this one, just really nice quality. Looks stunning on the eyelids. It's something that's easy to grab for. It's more on the warmer side of neutral tones, but this is the one of this Love collection that had 3 palettes that I've reached for the most, and it's been a lovely experience. So this one's gorge. Number 16 is from ESUM. This one has come very in handy. I mean, I feel like it's ranking a little high. Like I might, you know, I think I like this Pat McGrath one better, but anyways, it's still a trusty, dusty, not dusty, that was a lie, but it's a trusty, I just wanted to rhyme, matte palette. I said though I do prefer my Viseart neutral mattes palette, but this one from ESUM, this is a balanced eyeshadow palette. It's a different type of formula. It's a little bit more slippery, so it's a little easier to blend, a little bit less pigment than the Viseart. So this one is better for beginners, whereas Viseart, you get a little bit more pigment. It's a little bit more quicker, but this one is easier to build up, I would say. It builds up a lot better. Great curation, but they're very similar. I prefer my Viseart, but this one is still really great, and for a while it was sitting in the drawers next to me, so I did reach for this a lot when I just needed a specific shade. Number 15, is this the highest ranked Pat McGrath palette? Oh my gosh, it is. It's the tiniest one too, but I think because I've traveled more this year than I ever have, this mini eyeshadow palette in Sublime Smoke has come in handy, and it's those neutral tones that I love, but it's also the variety and depths in here that I find super special, right? You can use this as eyeliner, crease color, outer corner color. You can get more of a smoky look with these. You can get a brighter eye with this. A lot of versatility in this tiny little palette. It's a little bit cheaper, and it is so cute and adorable, and just the greatest selection of colors and fantastic quality. Yeah, this is my favorite Pat McGrath palette that's launched this year. Number 14, these rank high because the quality, such fantastic mattes. So first we have the Huda Beauty Cool Mattes Obsessions. These blend like butter, and this is a great opportunity to dig into that individual eyeshadow drawer to put a topper on. But yeah, these shades blend like butter. They do have a couple interesting formulas here, which not my favorite, but they still work great. Buttery smooth. You know when the quality is just so good, it doesn't matter how boring it is? That's why these are ranking high. And then 13 is also from Huda Beauty. It's the Warm Matte Obsessions. Surprisingly, I've been into warm tones more than ever this year, so I've enjoyed the warm mattes even more than the cool mattes, and I'm a cool toned girl, but again, super buttery smooth. The only critique I have is a couple of these shades are a little bit closer to each other than I feel like they should be, but the quality, they blend themselves. What can I say? Number 12 is from Too Faced. This one was a shock. Did not expect this to be so loved by me and to be so used by me, but the Too Faced Pinker Times Ahead, I'm pretty sure you can't even get it anymore, but it is a pinker palette, which is not what I love pink this year, and I've never really been into pink, but these are softer tones of pink, which I think has drawn me towards them. And then the shimmers here look very reflective on the eyelid, which I really like. I like a good reflective shimmery lid shade, so this has been really easy for just a quick eye makeup look. So I've reached for this a lot. Love this little guy. And then at number 11, before we get to the Big 10, we have from Odin's Eye, the Flora Story palette, which this one was in collaboration with Makeup Just for Fun. And I love this color story. If you know me, I love like mauve purples, and then I've been super into greens. That's what this palette has. That's what this palette is. And then of course it's accompanied by the fantastic Odin's Eye formula. It really was just a recipe to become a favorite. Just shy of hitting the top 10. Okie dokies, the top 10 best palettes that I've tried so far this year, starting off, obviously, with number 10. I totally lied. I said that that small one was my top Pat McGrath palette, but I was looking on the floor and I missed this. This one was my favorite. So this is from the Star Wars collection. The other Star Wars collection I tried in 2022, so this didn't make last year's cut, but this is Divine Droid. It was sent out later, if you don't remember. This is the only fun palette we got from Pat McGrath this year, right? And it is fun, and I really do enjoy the quality, and I got some fun looks with this. I have not been doing a ton of colorful looks this year, and so this was one of the few where I've created some fun, like a fun, colorful look, but it wasn't too much. It's a special palette in the way that you can use literal colors of the rainbow on your eye, but it still not be too crazy. So this one is not exceptional, right? But it is really, really nice and pretty special from Pat McGrath. So forget about that one, maybe. Number 9 was a shocker from me because I avoided this in my collection from trying for a while because I thought the packaging was really clunky. It looked cheap. This is from Shu Uemura. It's the Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon palette. Even the palette on the inside, I'm like, I'm not attracted to it, but the quality. Oh my gosh, I used this and I couldn't stop using it because the mattes were so buttery smooth and the shimmers were buttery, creamy, really reflective, very dimensional on the eyelids. Just a true luxury formula in like drugstore packaging for some reason. So hate the packaging on this, but I could not get over the quality on this. Number 8 is from ESUM, some of the best shimmers. Not super glimmery how I normally prefer them, but just so well done, I couldn't deny it. So this is the ESUM Artistry palette in Intensity. So I say like this formula, there's no difference between applying this with a finger and then applying it with a brush. The fact that these shimmers glide on so beautifully with a brush, to me, just explains how beautiful the quality of these shimmers are. Comparing these to Viseart, right? I prefer Viseart mattes, but I by far prefer ESUM shimmers. Incredible. Number 7. Now this one did not rank as high in my most recent rankings, but I used it a couple more times again and I was like, nah. She needs to be scooted up in the rankings. So this is from Glaminatrix. It's the Into the Night palette, which I believe you can only buy in singles now, unfortunately. But I've had a lot of fun with this palette. This has been my special event, special occasion palette when I'm ready to show off my eyeshadow because I feel like the colors in here have really allowed me to be playful but still stay within my color comfort zone as well. So yeah, and the shimmers, the Glaminatrix lid toppers are divine. Literally, when it comes to indie brand eyeshadows, the good ones, you know, the way to describe the formula is truly divine, and that's how I feel about this one. Number 6 is from Odin's Eye. She's popped up a lot towards the top. This is the Jewels and Gem palette. Can't say a single bad thing about this. I've just loved it. It's not been my number one most reached for palette, but every time I look at it, I just want to put it all over my eyeballs. Nobody does shimmers like Odin's Eye. Nobody does a good matte formula like Odin's Eye and is able to keep it at the price point that they do with the packaging that they do. I don't know how they do it. Number 5 is from Odin's Eye. We've heard a lot from them this video. There's thunder outside. Chill, I'm almost done. So this is the Safari palette. Green tones have been my jam this year. I'm in a green phase, so the green palettes are ranking towards the top, not gonna lie. But this one is also really fun. I like it because there's also some neutral tones, good Nomad Cosmetics formula. Love the curations of colors that they always do. A fun play on the colors of the shimmers right here, and great variety of looks that you can get from this palette as well. Number 4, the last Odin's Eye palette. This is the Stone and Rock. These color stories, they cannot be beat. The green one was my favorite because I just went on my spiel about loving green tones. But this one is fun because you can get neutral kind of looks as well. And the shimmers in here I think are even better than the shimmers in the Jewels and Gem palette. So fun. Number 3 is from ABH. This is the Cosmos palette. Now this one is great for a simple iridescent kind of galactic, which I think is very trendy for this time of year. I mean, I love it. I just don't love the mattes in here. I feel inclined when I use this palette to reach for a palette with different mattes, but the shimmers are just so delightful, reflective, pearly, iridescent on the eyelid that those just shoot this towards the top. I find I like this palette the most when it comes to creating very simple looks. Number 2 is from Dominique Cosmetics. This is called the Essential palette, and I really think the name is perfect because it does have all of the essential shades. I love the way that these shimmers look on the eyelid. They look quite reflective and just super high quality, and then very easy to use mattes. There was a black here. Emphasis on the was because I dropped this before I got a rug down in this room. But yeah, for me, this has just been an everyday palette. It's a palette that I reach for when I don't want to think too hard about a look, but I want to love how my eyes look. This for me is my comfort zone right here. This is Morgan's Essential palette. And then that one was almost at number 1. I've been constantly turning between number 2, but I think seasonally right now this one's my favorite. The Natasha Denona Yucca palette's my favorite palette that has launched this year. I love the curation of the colors. I love the looks that I can get with this. I love the formulas in here. I don't know, like, coming back in 6 months if this will be ranked quite as high, but I am in such green mode right now. This is my number 1 palette. This is my most used palette this year. This is the palette that I feel the most excited about. So she's number 1. There we have it, you guys. We gotta stop because it's about to storm. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me ranking all of the palettes that I tried from worst to best so far this year. So stay tuned because in 6 months I will be adding all of these back into a bigger full year palette roundup. I'm actually gonna leave these out and not put them in my drawers, and so that way I know to continue to reach for them to test these guys even more. Yeah, okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Let me know some of the palettes you tried this year. If you tried a lot, let me know how many palettes did you try this year. Count them up, whether it be 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, 40, 100. I want to know. So yeah, alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one.